In this season of my life, I think reclaiming my voice is being unapologetic about who I am, about my experiences, my story, my truth, knowing that is my truth.
Welcome to Reclaim Your Voice, a podcast for women in business who are ready to lead with more clarity, more ownership, and more confidence in who they already are. I'm Savanna Madden, confidence coach, public speaker, and the founder of award-winning theatre school Madden Theatre Arts. This is not about becoming someone new, it's about returning to your voice and leading in a way that feels aligned. Here we explore confidence, leadership, visibility, business growth, and the real shifts that happen as you evolve. If you know you're capable of more, you're in the right place. This is Reclaim Your Voice. Hello and welcome to Reclaim Your Voice. I'm your host, Savanna Madden, confidence coach for women in business, helping female founders who are at the point of growth step into leadership with clarity, authority, and confidence without losing themselves in the process. I am so delighted to be joined by an incredible guest who is a speaker, visibility mentor, and the founder of Women Thrive Media. Raimonda Jan, welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Savannah. Great to be here.
Oh, it's so great to have you, Ray. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and have a lovely chat with me. So I love to get straight into it. For anyone who is meeting you, hearing you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit more about you, who you serve, what you stand for in this particular season, and just tell us a bit more about you, really.
Cool, Savannah. Well, thank you so much. As you know, I am very passionate about women, especially women reclaiming their voice. As someone who has had experience of losing my voice, losing my identity due to trauma, this is really my passion work. So I am a speaker, an author, a founder of Women Thrive Media, that is a global platform that spotlights women from all around the world. I've created this platform to be able to not only advocate for women empowerment, but also join forces with other amazing women from all around the world. So together we have a platform because I believe I've been an entrepreneur since age of 21 and I've always found it difficult, or I've seen that entrepreneurial women are very unrepresented in the media, and there's not many media platforms that celebrates women who have big missions, doing incredible work. And so we set out to do that, to create Women Thrive Media. And here we are in 6th or 7th year of it, a magazine that is globally in print and books and amazing events and retreats. So that's what I do, and that's why I'm passionate about this very subject.
That's amazing. And where did the original idea for Women Thrive come from? What was happening in your life at the time when you created this wonderful global platform?
I think, there has been two starts of it. Initially, I started in 2017, and my idea was just to have an event for women, and it was called Women in Business. And very quickly, that event has brought in a lot of amazing women in entrepreneurship and asked me questions like, can we do this again? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have a community? And so I started to build this community called Women in Business in 2017 that started in London. And our events were going really, really well. And then our community started to reach out from all around the world. I grew my Instagram following to over 100,000 followers in 1 year. And everything just kind of blew up, as I say it. And people were just reaching out from the United States, from Australia, South Africa, and other parts of the world. When we're going to do our in-person events there? Thought, well, I don't know if we can do it, but I set out to go global in 2020. And as you know, 2020 was a complete shutdown, and we had to cancel our very first event of the year that was going to take in Atlanta, United States. I worked on it for 3 months. I had speakers, sponsors, vendors, venue, like literally everything booked. And when I started to see signs that that wasn't going to happen, I had to officially cancel the event and kind of take my losses. But in that moment, I realized that even though I felt hard, like really soul crushed, to be honest, about canceling this event because I've put in so much work and hope into it, I realized that this wasn't really about me. And if I feel like that, okay, maybe I've lost time, maybe I've lost some money, but it's nowhere as bad as maybe some other people are going through right now. And so I decided to pivot that event into a virtual event. And that name, Women Thrive, was very natural title for that event to say, despite all of these challenges that we're going through right now, we can still rise above all of this and thrive. And the way to do that is come together through an event, through sharing of our stories, resources, information, how to help each other. And that first event was very, very successful. And so I said, I want to do this every year. And Women Thrive was one event, just like the first event that I had with Women in Business, started to unravel itself into a magazine and books and other events and our annual summit, because women continued to ask me for more. They started to ask me, can we do a book collaboration? Can we do this? And, and the community really expanded. And I'm grateful. We are in our 6th year of our summit. I can't believe how fast the time has gone. We're back to live in-person events. And so that is the story behind Women Thrive.
Yeah, I was absolutely going to ask you, Raimonda, about what was going through your mind when you had to make that decision and make that pivot, but you've already answered it really. And I just love how you looked at it as a positive and thought about all the other people in the world that were all suffering at the same time, and how could you make this event happen, and how could you enhance these collaborations and these moments of connection by pivoting and having something a bit different at the time. But as you mentioned earlier, we are moving back into more in-person things, but online summits are still hugely popular. And we have the Women Thrive Summit coming up in March at the time of recording now. But I would love to know what you're most excited about for your in-person event in London in June as well.
Oh my goodness. I smile because it's such a 360-degree moment. And I must say, after we have had to cancel that event, there were so many times that I considered of hosting another event or putting on another big event. But there was this fear inside. Is it going to work? Is there going to be enough people showing up? Are we going to have another scare for COVID or whatever? I am really excited because this is our first major event since 2019, major production. But this time, it feels different. This time we have a solid community, an organization with so many women who, again, want to be there. So we're not just marketing it to a cold audience. Now we have women who seeing this event and seeing this as an opportunity to extend those relationships that already have started and begun long before London. So some of the speakers that have been confirmed have been our clients or our community members for quite some time. They are not new to the community. So we build those relationships. Really excited about seeing them on the stage and meeting all the other women and getting to hug them. I am really, really excited for that and bring that transformation and opportunity for women to network in person. It's going to be really amazing.
It is going to be incredible. And when you just said a minute ago that you haven't hosted an in-person or a live event like this or on this scale since 2019. So where did you find the confidence or the knowing that this could be possible this year? Why was it this year that is the time to put on this live event?
Yeah. It's like there has been enough years. I said, okay, maybe next year or maybe next season. And, in the midst of that, I've moved countries. I had 2 babies, published multiple books. So I've been busy.
You've been busy, Raimonda.
I've been just a little bit busy scaling the business, giving birth. And yeah, it's not been easy. So we tend to put big projects on a roadmap on when potentially we could do it in relation with everything else that's going on. So I think this is the first time, but the confidence piece is really, it grows as you grow and expand and you start to take on bigger projects. Your confidence grows. And now I know I can execute big projects. Now I know I can put on events. Like last year, I was actually pregnant already with my second daughter. I think it was month 2 or 3, and we hosted an event in Miami. It was a retreat and book launch event in Miami, and that was pretty major and very exciting event. But again, by doing these things, you grow in your confidence and you know what you're capable of. So yeah, there is evidence.
But it's all about stretching yourself, isn't it? It's about dipping your toe out of your comfort zone, going into the stretch zone and doing it. That's what I say to everybody that I work with. It's just confidence grows in the doing, not in the thinking about it or wondering about it. You've just got to push forwards and go for it, haven't you? I think that we've got quite a good grasp on you and Women Thrive, but I want to go back a little bit, delve a little bit deeper, because I know that you and I share an experience. It's not the same, but we have both been in a situation where we've lost our voice. And I would just love to know, Raimonda, if you're happy to share what that was like for you, if you could tell us a little bit more about it, and how did it affect your confidence at the time, and how did you move through it?
Yeah. When I was young, in my late teens and young adulthood, I was that outgoing, fun, confident girl, right? A lot of times I would center attention and I quite loved it, to be honest. I was quite courageous to take on things that I've never tried before, like, starting your own business at a very young age and just going for it. I guess mainly because I thought you couldn't fail. There's that youthfulness of thinking, well, you can do it all.
Love that.
So quite an early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I failed in my first business, and I was hit quite hard with that in my self-confidence. And then I got into the wrong relationship. That was, I guess his intentions weren't quite pure, and how he went about our interactions wasn't with the best interest of me. He pretty much wanted to use me, wanted to marry me young, and therefore to really control me. And I think on one of our last interactions, I kept trying to push him away, and it's like, no, this is not going to happen. On one of our last interactions, there was an encounter where I felt used and abused in a way. And I was left at the airport in another country on my own with no money, with no belongings. And I felt like an idiot. Like I've trusted someone that I was kind of in a relationship with back and forth. But I really felt responsible for making a stupid decision and getting myself into that situation and allowing someone to treat me in a way that um, I felt used, right? When I got back after that trip, and that was the last of the connection with this person, everything started to kind of go downhill in my mental health. And I stopped speaking straight away. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Not that I just didn't want to, I felt incapable of, if that makes sense. I felt ashamed. I felt guilty of it, felt trapped. And combined with the failure of my first business and having big ambition, but not even really being able to realize that ambition, feeling a bit lost of what can I do? What should I be doing? And the trauma that unfolded with that last interaction kind of chained me. And there was times where I would just be indoors in the dark, not wanting to get out, not wanting to speak to anyone. I'd look in a mirror and I'd try to speak to myself and I'd say, Ray, who are you? Please speak, because I need you to speak. Because I was entrepreneur. I didn't have an income. I didn't have a career. I didn't have a job. That was a route I've chosen. When you choose entrepreneurial route, you almost shut the door behind you to a career because nobody wants to know. So much time has passed where I was really battling that depression and self-confidence, self-identity loss. I didn't know there was help or support, or I wasn't alone, or where could I reach out? Coaching or mentoring wasn't quite as prominent as it is now. So I was navigating this in my 26, maybe I was, navigating it all on my own until I just started to gather myself, gather my confidence, because I had no choice, because I had to keep on moving forward. And I thought, I'm going to put this behind me. I'm not going to talk about this because this feels shameful, right? Like, I don't know if anybody else has gone through it. And I've never spoken about it over the years, after I started to host events, started to grow my confidence back in my speaking, um, looked for mentoring and coaching with my voice. At the time, joined Clubhouse. I was like, oh, this voice app, like, what is this? And I met my speaking mentor, who was Les Brown, and I joined his program. And on one of our first calls, I told him what I do. He said, oh, that's amazing. I'm passionate about events. And so you're doing all this incredible work with women. Why do you do what you do? And in that moment, it was like a download. And I said, I do what I do because I know what it's like not to have a voice. And all the shame of what happened to me disappeared. And in that moment, it made sense of why I have been feeling so passionate about empowering women, about creating a stage, about speaking. But I realized that I myself have not spoken my truth up until that point, and I've never shared that story. That felt so shameful. So that was the first time that I revealed it. And it was about 70, 80 people in that room, virtual room. And I felt empowered, like I reclaimed my voice at that moment.
Oh, yes, Ray. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That is just such an inspirational story. And of course, I'm so sorry for your experience in your in your late teens and early 20s. But what a way to turn a negative situation into something so positive that has such an enormous impact on so many other people. And I imagine people listening will completely identify with so many elements. And there may be people that have been through a similar experience to you. And it's just so important to share these stories so that we can all feel included and seen, and that anything is possible as well. It's inspirational that we can all rise, and we can rise together, and we can collaborate with one another and work together, and it just makes things feel so much more achievable. And now look, you've grown an empire. And what I would love to ask you now is that as you started to rebuild your confidence, as you started to rebuild your life and your business and move forwards, what would you say was the part of your identity that had to evolve so that you could hold this vision for Women Thrive Media?
I think I had to rediscover a new identity of who I was becoming and who I wanted to become. The dream of who I am today has always been there, but I couldn't even imagine how vast that dream could become. And I didn't fathom. And I think had it not happened, it wouldn't be as significant as it is and give me such a big purpose today. So I am grateful for it. At that time, I didn't know I was on my own. I didn't know, actually, I wasn't on my own. When I started to share that story, other women come forward and said, I've experienced the same thing. I can relate to that story. I was like, wow, now it makes sense. And as far as like being able to hold it, your capacity grows over time. And had I not had those experiences, I wouldn't be able to relate to you. I wouldn't be able to speak my truth because I've had to go through these experiences and take a long route of finding my identity, finding my voice, right? I wasn't born with a confident voice. Maybe I was, but there was a time when everything was taken away from me. So sometimes you have to experience these pivotal moments in your life in order for that to shape your identity and give you a real meaning, purpose, and depth. And that's what I believe that experience gave me, that depth, and gave me perspective of what other people have gone through or are going through, and how by claiming our truth, reclaiming our voice, speaking our truth, we can impact others, and why it's so important. This morning I was listening to a lady's interview on Good Morning UK, and she was talking about her experience with Epstein from the many years of abuse. And it was interesting to hear what she had to share. And the experiences, I have not gone through that specific experience as she has. But knowing that you're not alone, I had my own experience of so-called Epstein situation, right? With so-called my partner. And now that everything is coming to surface, it's giving us more courage, strength, confidence to speak up and to know that silence cannot continue, because those situations will continue to evolve for many more centuries unless we start to raise awareness, unless we start to speak about it. And yeah, I just think it is important work that we got to do so our daughters, our next generation of women, don't fall into that trap and they become aware of what the world is like, unfortunately.
It's really important work, Ray. Thank you so much for raising that and sharing that you saw that interview. And you're absolutely right. We need to step forward. We need to take up the space. We need to use our voices for good, for change, so that the next wave of women after us have got a really good path that we've paved for them, so that they can live an even more empowered life. So now I just want to move on to the scale in which you've grown your businesses. So a lot of people listening to this podcast are women in business, entrepreneurs, and some may be at a very similar stage to you. Some might be more in the solopreneur stage of their business, or somewhere in between. Who knows? But can you tell us what it's been like, or any advice that you can give to solopreneurs, particularly? I think would be a good one, of how you have grown and scaled and hired people into your team, and you've hired the right people to be in your team.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad that it feels like that. And it certainly is. Like I said, I've always been very much entrepreneurial person and had that passion. And I think from the very beginning, my mindset was that you can't build an empire on your own. You can't do it all by yourself. So from the very first business, I always hired people to maybe do things that I wasn't that good at, whether it was graphic design, building websites, doing the techie stuff that I wasn't too bad. But, for someone listening who's just starting out, I've done every single job that I now have people doing in my business myself at some stage. So I know what it's like to build a website, to build a funnel, I've taken the time to learn every single part of it, because I believe as an entrepreneur, as a founder, you become much more empowered in knowing how to lead not only the team, but what it takes to execute something if you have knowledge and awareness. So I spent quite a few years actually learning the ins and outs of marketing, visibility, all kinds of things that my business required. And I'd continuously to try and accumulate that knowledge, but also execute it. Execution is really, really important. I'm that kind of person, like hands-on. I'm there. Even though maybe I could have hired social media people, I was there in the trenches. The reason why we've grown so quickly, because I was nonstop every single day. Growth hacking, it's a term where like you're relentlessly obsessed over something. For me, initially, that was Instagram. I was relentlessly obsessed with it. I had commitment to do like a daily post, engage with people, watch my growth, watch my stats, until I started to see momentum. So momentum will start to happen, but don't underestimate every single action, your commitment to your business, because it does require it. And even when you don't see results, your belief is the number one thing that's going to get you there. And for me, it was like, well, I don't care how long it's going to take. All I know that I believe that I can do it and I'm going to do it. So the time didn't matter to me, because I'm like, I'm in for this forever, right? And it's just, we're just going through the milestones of achieving certain things. Like I said, in that first year, I think it's 2018, we grew to 100,000 followers on Instagram. Things completely blew off. But I didn't settle and said, oh, okay, well, now we've got that, I'm set. No. Okay, it's like, now I'm bored actually. Give me another challenge. So I moved on to Facebook. Okay, how can we do that same thing on Facebook? Over about 3 years, we grew over 300,000 on Facebook. Okay, can we now do it on YouTube? Can we now grow our email list? So I don't know. I don't sit on my laurels and just say, okay, now we set. No, I just keep setting new challenges and new milestones for my business to grow. And like I said, I always hired a team, and especially becoming a mom, girl, especially now with 2 kids, I know that I can't do it on my own. And I absolutely need a team. So don't be afraid to ask for help, get help, and think bigger because you can really grow something exponentially more if you change your mindset and know that you're in it for a long haul, whatever it takes.
It's such brilliant advice, that you've got to really dream big. And there's a saying that one of my mentors always says that he's taken, I think it's from Tony Robbins. They overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in a decade. Whereas, if you think about the bigger picture and all the really big goals of looking at what you could achieve in 10 years, the world is your oyster, as they say. But I also love that you're talking about commitment and that to grow a really successful business, you have got to be so committed, so driven, so determined, and not be afraid to ask for help. It's just so, so important. And you mentioned there how your life has expanded alongside your business. So I would also love to know what has become an absolute non-negotiable for you as a leader, as a woman.
For me, it has been sleep. Before, I mean, when I had one child, I would work at night. And now that I have two, non-negotiable sleep. I go to bed with my children at night, and sometimes, yes, I do wake up in the middle of the night, maybe do a little bit of work if I feel creative, but sleep has been number one because if I don't get my body and my mind rejuvenated at night, then I cannot function. So no matter what, it's that honestly spending time with my kids, even though in the moment when things are so busy, a lot going on, I have to find the time for my children because this will pass. The business will pass, but I will never get the time back with my kids. I will never get to watch them crawl or walk for the first time or speak or whatever. So every single day I'm a present mom. Other things, to be honest, like 5 a.m. club, don't sign me up for that. Gym workouts, please. I don't have time for that. I eat healthy. I really focus on good nutrition and that sustains me in every way possible because I am still breastfeeding. And then everything else, like, hey, if you get to peek outside or sit in the sun or go to the beach for a walk without kids kicking and screaming, that's a bonus. Like last weekend, I managed to escape to a spa. Just about, like that nearly didn't happen. And I was like, oh my God, that's the first time I'm getting to escape to a spa in like months. That was just wonderful. Yeah, sleep is my non-negotiable.
It's so important, though. I think that people think that sleep is so overrated, and I'm like, no, it's kind of just integral to our whole, well-being. And
See,
when you're a mum of little ones, it can be really tough. And I would also love to know, Ray, is that with everything that you've built, your whole ecosystem with Women Thrive Media, we've also got the Women Thrive Summit, you've got the magazine, you've authored books, co-authored books, got such an incredible community of people around you. What would you like people who are coming into the community brand new, if they maybe are listening to you for the first time today, they're going to go and find your communities online, what would you love them to feel the first time that they encounter your community?
I love them to feel seen for who they are, seen beyond the mask. I always say when you come into our space, you don't have to wear a mask. With me anyway, you get what you see. I don't pretend, I don't wear masks. And so I want for people coming in to know that they can be truly themselves, authentic selves, and be welcomed and accepted no matter who they are, no matter what stage they're at. I hear a lot when people join, let's say, a speakers group and become speakers on a platform or any other way, join, a group of successful women in some cases, they feel an imposter. And I remind them, I'm like, you here on your own merit. And I remind them that, look, it doesn't matter where somebody else is. You're on your own journey and you can be inspired, not intimidated. You bring your own. And yeah, I just want women to know that you will build that confidence. You will build that up. You will you can be part of a community and feel included, seen, supported, have cheerleaders around you. It doesn't matter where you are. And hopefully that's what they feel within Women Thrive, that they don't have to be somebody that they're not or somewhere where they not yet are.
And Ray, we're going to sort of begin to wrap things up now. So my final question for you is, what does reclaiming your voice look like for you in this season of your life?
Yeah. In this season of my life, I think reclaiming my voice is being unapologetic about who I am, unapologetic about my experiences, my story, my truth, knowing that is my truth. I don't have to filter. I don't have to be somebody else for somebody to palate me. And somebody doesn't connect with me, that's fine. If they don't find what I do inspiring or interesting, that's on them. But I know I have a big mission to fulfill, and I have to be able to be unapologetic about that in order to pave the way for others to know that they have a voice too and they need to be heard.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ray. It's absolutely incredible. So we have got the Women Thrive Summit coming up very soon. If people would like to attend, how do they get a ticket? What do they have to do? Please tell us.
Yeah, well, I'm excited that you're going to be one of our speakers at the summit alongside nearly 50 amazing women from all around the world. So you can go over to womenthrivesummit.com and check out how you can register for your free spot. It's a virtual event, so also you're able to upgrade your ticket. Be there, register, and really take the time between the 16th to the 20th of March to spend some time with us and the women who are going to take stage. It's a live event, which means you get truly to participate, not just watch recordings of women speaking. This is a really engaged event and it's going to be transformational. So I invite anyone who's listening to this, participate. Be an active participant in this, because this is so much more than an event. This is real movement of women, celebration, and a safe space for all of us to thrive.
Cannot wait, Raimonda. I absolutely cannot wait. And I really hope that we have so many participants in the summit for the entire week. It's going to be phenomenal. And where as well can we find you on social media? Where are you hanging out? You obviously told us that you've grown quite a few platforms. Where can we find you? Where can we connect with you?
I think the most personal space for me is Facebook. Raimonda Jan is my personal profile, and you'll probably find me there and be able to connect. I'm also on Instagram. I have a private account on Instagram myself, mainly because I tend to share some personal stuff on there and, share my daughters. So if you connect with me on a personal level, then you'll get to see a bit more behind the scenes of really who I am, as opposed to just business and the work that I do. So you can find me on Facebook or Instagram and also LinkedIn.
That's brilliant. And we'll link everything that we've just discussed in the show notes so that we're just one click away. But thank you so much, Ray. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Savanna. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Reclaim Your Voice. If today's conversation resonated, then head to the show notes where you'll find my free audio gift. And if this episode helped you in any way, it would mean so much if you shared it, rated or reviewed the show. That support helps these conversations reach the people who really need them. You can also watch the full episode on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.